Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
And please try to remember this. The greener grass across the fence may be due to a septic tank issue. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America. Followed by a patriot, a real-life patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell on this Tuesday morning, March 16th, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line. Come on, Patriot, give us our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I knew you were going to call. I had that feeling. Thank you, sir. And right now, let's head to the weather forecast. Brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger. I got to get Roger on the air one of these mornings, and I'll have him do the commercial for you. 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, the location right there, smack dab on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They've got all the best of tools and equipment. They've got everything you need. I mean, you ready for spring? I am. They got all the power rakes and all the garden and lawn equipment and all the rototillers, and they've got it all for you. Like I said, for both long and short-term rental. Give them a call if you're not sure what you need. 678-3122. K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
We're going to continue on this warming trend as we make our way through the rest of the work week, and here is a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies today.
I lost the weather. Sean, where did it go? Hello, anybody?
To continue on this warming trend as we make our way through the rest of the work week, and here is a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies today. High of 55 tonight, mostly clear, low of 29. Tomorrow, a little bit of a breeze, sunny skies, high of 61 with an overnight low of 34. By Thursday, mostly sunny. Close to 70, 68 is going to be the actual high. Then by Friday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers, mostly in the afternoon, partly sunny, and 61. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I heard her start, and then she faded off into the horizon. Good morning. Thank you, Gina. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Number to call? Absolutely. If you've got questions, you give them a jingle, 678-3122. K&R Rental. Thank you very much. Hey, you know, when you go someplace, you want to look good. I want to feel good. When you look good, you feel good. and your clothes are, boy, just fitting you right, you take them in to have them cleaned at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They do a phenomenal job of taking care of your clothes, and taking care are the key words, because clothes are expensive, and by golly, they want to make sure you get the longest life out of your clothes as possible through the dry cleaning methods. Well, they do a phenomenal job at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see my dear friends today. Want to remind you, too, caller will be right there. Stand by. I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hello, Ramsey's. Now, they also get there early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And listen, they've got 7 decades of experience of serving you with the very best of people and all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Believe me, they can and they will help you. Give them a call, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Hello, my friend.
You know, when I was in high school, my worst subject was math, and I never was very good at it. Thank goodness they come out with calculators. But the point I want to bring up is when your taxes exceed your income, what kind of math is that?
I am very concerned for you and other seniors in the next couple of weeks and months. We are going to see, I believe, some severe attacks on our incomes, our budgets, and I just don't know how we're going to survive. I think that the infrastructure bill is going to create all kinds of problems. I think they're just going to rob Peter to pay Paul. I think that what you said about Deanne, I don't know, but we've got somebody talking on the other phone line that's coming across and bleeding into the program, so have him call back, please. And I just don't know how we're going to absorb what this Biden administration is going to do to us in the next couple of months. I'm very, very worried.
Well, let me give you my scenario of things. You know, your mortgage companies are out there trying to get you to refinance your house because the value has went out of sight. They're going to loan you more money on it, and then you're going to get the money, and you're going to use that to live on. And when it's gone, you don't have any money and you don't have a house.
I'll tell you what's going to happen here, Keith, and I don't care who's offended by this. It's a fact. With this increase, this drastic skyrocketing increase in fuel and gas is absolutely ludicrous. I've had so many people call me the last couple of days saying they're having to make decisions as to whether to go to the dentist or not, or whether to go to dialysis or not, or whether or not to see their doctors, because of this extreme increase in fuel that's going higher and higher. Right now, as it stands, it is costing me, with all the fill-ups I have to go through during the course of the month to run my business, it's costing me an additional already $210 a month, and it's going to go a heck of a lot higher. My hate and my disdain for the stupidity of the Biden administration is unlimited.
You know, my heart goes out to these people like my friend that owns Handy Truck Lines.
Yep.
My goodness, he's got quite a few trucks running. He's had a very successful business for many, many years. And now his fuel prices are going to stifle him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but it's going to be to the point, Keith, where it's affecting everybody. I mean, every single thing, commodity, every single thing that is shipped by truck, every single thing that happens in the world is dependent on energy. And this administration is nuts. That's the simple way to put it. They're nuts, and they're just craving for more money out of our pocket. I have nothing but evil to say about the evil Democrats that are in control right now.
Now you know why the fence around the Capitol.
Yeah, Yeah, well, I don't want to go as far as to say anything like that because I think it's ludicrous to think that they have to have a wire fence around our Capitol and the National Guard, etc. All they would have to do is start working for us the way that it was designed instead of dictating to us. Keith, I've got to run. Thank you so much. Appreciate your call. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Hey, don't forget, in thinking about the mess that we're in, this would be appropriate. Dino Septic Service. I'm telling you what, the Democrats, they might come swimming out of there. Dino Septic Service, of course, with the best in septic tank pumping and septic tank and drain fields installed, water and sewer lines installed, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, septic inspections. They do all of this and more with the most modern of equipment and the best attitude of serving you. I mean, these are nice people at Dino Septic Service. Numbers to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. In Twin, 735-8281. As I said, take care of your septic tank. Maintenance on those septic tanks will save you money. Give them a call. Dino Septic Service with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. By the way, yesterday, caller stand by. Yesterday, Chuck Driscoll called, and I want to be sure, and I told him I would do this, and I am. The Vietnam Veterans of America, Post 1144, is having a dinner for Vietnam veterans and their spouses on Monday, March 29th at 6 p.m. at the Rupert Senior Center at 702 11th Street in Rupert. Tickets available from Chuck Driscoll, and the number to call, 208-670-5183. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, too, our friends at Denny's Restaurant. Oh, America's Diner. Yeah, buddy. We're going to be over there on the 1st of April. That's not an April Fool joke. That is absolutely the truth. At 611 North Oberlin in Burley. Boy, have they got some great additions to their menu. Like the Big Dipper Melt. Oh, tender pot roast with melted Swiss cheese. That's what I'm going to have. That's what I'm going to have. It's going to be great. And nice people serving you. We're going to have door prizes. We're going to have all kinds of things at the Great Big Zeb's Lunch Bunch. The resurgence of the Lunch Bunch on April 1st, Thursday, 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner in Burley. Don't you miss it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Tony.
It is a good morning.
Yes, sir.
These people that are breaching our borders, coming in here, many of them uneducated, they will contribute nothing to our society. They'll come in here and get all the freebies, free medical, free food, free housing in this. And the only thing that you and I will get out of it is this big sucking sound when our taxes are going to be raised to support a bunch who will not contribute anything at all to this country.
Well, you're not going to get an argument out of me. I mean, I absolutely think it's evil, sinister, and it's got to stop. I mean, we are looking at a situation that needs to be reversed. It's only been 2 months since this very demented man has taken over this country's leadership, even though he's nothing more than a howdy-doody puppet being run by Susan Rice and Barack Obama in the background. But this has got to stop. The border is going to get much worse. And the border is literally going to be gone. Border Patrol agents are being told not to talk to the press. They are so overworked, they don't know what to do. They're so overwrought, they're just about ready to tear their hair out. And I'll say this, Tony, we need a revolution in this country, but I'm not sure what kind of a revolution it's got to be and how, because there's no more power. There's no more power to the people. We, the people, nobody is paying attention to us.
Well, our country has been invaded. And any other country, there's many other countries out there that would have put this stop to what's going on when the first match was lit up in Oregon. That would have been crushed and stopped. But the invasion continues, and if we don't stop it, there's going to be more of them in this country than there are of us.
Well,
they will be in this country being paid to multiply.
Tell me one thing, Tony, in all your years of experience. Tell me one thing that we, the people, have as a power right now to force the government to straighten up and do our bidding. Tell me one power that we have. No matter what I say, no matter what you do, no matter what anybody tries to say or do, they're going to come after us like a cat to a plate of milk and try to stop us, thwart us, and shut us up.
Well, it's going to have to be a revolution. It doesn't have to necessarily be a violent revolution. And my feelings are that the veterans that have been out serving all over the world, protecting other countries, must come together. This is going to be the goal, because they have families who vote. These veterans, like I'm one of them, and we can make a difference.
I agree with your...
It doesn't necessarily be a violent one.
Yeah, I agree with your terminology. I'm not ever going to advocate any violence, but on the other hand, too, we the people have to be listened to. We're the ones that are paying the bills. I am sick and tired of the smugness and the absolute arrogance of the Dick Durbins and the Chucky Schumers and everybody else connected to the Democratic Party, just kind of snickering and tee-heeing that they can get this done and they can get this done, and the American public's going to suffer for it and pay for it. I'm fed up with this garbage, and it's only been 2 months that this insane administration has been in power. How in the world is it going to be leading into 4 years?
We have fairgrounds all over Idaho. I pay $10 a piece to get speakers, get people to come out on the weekends, and maybe hundreds of them in these places, and let the government know that voting's coming up in what? We've got the Senate vote coming up in 23. We have to unite that way.
Yeah. Well, all I'm going to say, I agree with you. I would like to see...
The fairgrounds. Let's have meetings there.
Well, meetings, fine, but we got to start seeing some results. And I know we got to start someplace. I agree with you. But I think that one of the things we need to do is enforce all state attorney generals to sue this Biden administration for what they've done on the border. Absolute lawsuit, all of them. Wasden, up in Boise, if you're listening, and I doubt it because I don't think he does that much. But anyway, I think every state attorney general should be suing like the Attorney General in Florida. Let's get their attention that way. Let's go through our state and the power of the state back to the D.C. office. I'm fed up with this.
I know it looks like an impossible situation, but numbers will help. I hope we can unite in this country and get this crap over.
I hope so, and that's exactly the good word for it. I don't use it on the air, but I'll go along and back you on the usage of it. That's what it is. Tony, God bless you. Thank you for your call. Appreciate it. Thank you. Don't forget our buddy Anthony, I should say, with Save on Shells at 1827 Overland in Burley. There is a good old boy. Many, many times stopped in and talked to him and bought some campers from him, too. I got one on my pickup right now. ARE, the very best in camper shells. And he's got over 90 camper shells in stock. Here a camper shell, there a camper shell, there's camper shells all over the place. And if they don't have one that'll match the paint on your pickup, hey, they can order it right now. Stop in. 312-1525. The number to talk to this man. He is sharp. Save on Shells, 1827 Overland in Burley. Give Anthony a call today. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I have, in order to give respect, you have to get respect. And this administration doesn't have any respect for the American public. None. This Joe Biden administration, and you know as well as I do, he's not pulling the strings. He's not pushing the toggle switches. It's people behind the scenes, and I'll stand behind my statement of Susan Rice and Barack Obama literally running this country. And Biden's a complete fool, has no business being in the Oval Office. And for him to come out and say something as frivolous and stupid as he did the other night, well, maybe by the 4th of July, Independence Day, why, you folks out there in the hinterland can gather around your little grill and have a small barbecue with a few people, wearing your mask, of course, and celebrate the 4th of July Independence Day outside. Are you kidding me? I intend to celebrate the 4th of July Independence Day with as many doggone people as I want to have here. I am not going to be bowing and kowtowing to the government. I'm fed up with that nonsense. This man is allowing, through his administration, literally hundreds and hundreds of COVID carriers coming into our country every day, going through the border gates, getting on buses, going all over the country, spreading their sickness, and then this man has the audacity to say that, well, maybe if you behave yourselves, you can start the charcoal up in the backyard and have a little Barbie on Independence Day. Are you kidding me? Maybe the best way of revolution is to absolutely ignore all the incompetence and the idiocy that Washington, D.C. spews. What are your thoughts? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. Want to remind you about a great place to go eat, and you know what I'm headed for. Yeah, you know. I'm going to talk about Wick's Steak Place. Woo, baby, I'm telling you what, they put out a plate of food. Wick's Steak Place, I bit my tongue there. Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon at 18 East Main Street in Declo. Somebody asked me a little bit ago, well, I'm not sure where it is. You don't have to worry about knowing where it is. Just look where all the cars are parked. I'm telling you what, there's a lot of people that know this is a great place to eat. Go on over to Declo and enjoy. Wednesday through Saturday from 4 to closing time. I'm telling you what, they've got everything from sandwiches all the way to prime rib, lobster all the way to ribs. You are going to enjoy the food. When they set that plate down in front of you, you're just going to absolutely think you are in eating heaven. And you are. Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon, 18 East Main Street in Declo. You stop over and see those good folks this week. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I could not believe this when I saw this on television last night. I looked at Deanne and I said, is this what we've come to? This is so insane. With this COVID in Wenatchee, Washington, the only way the school band can practice, and if you don't believe me, there's a video on this, and I'll try to get a source where you can look at this absolute ridiculous video. The only way the school band can practice is to go to class wearing a mask, then they get in the band room, and they all the band members go to a plastic banana-type bubble. And they crawl up in this little banana-type bubble and zip it up in the front. And once it's entirely zipped up, then they take off their mask and they sit in their little banana-type bubble, and the band leader then starts the class. You can't make this stuff up. That's in Wenatchee, Washington. Holy smokes. The virus has taken us to new lows, and this has got to stop. I am in total agreement with Tucker Carlson and a few others on the network media that Dr. Anthony Fauci is not any smarter than anyone else. It's a fly by the seat of your pants attitude. And first of all, Fauci came out and said, well, I don't believe in wearing masks, and that's not going to do any good. And then does a complete flip-flop, and now is coming out and telling us that we should wear layers of masks. Now, I don't know how many of y'all have tried this, but try it sometime today. Gather up 2 or 3 of your masks and put one on, then put on the other one, and then put on the third. And my suggestion is have somebody there with you so that when you pass out from a lack of oxygen, they can do something to help you get to the hospital. This is insane. Absolutely insane. Then they said, we just absolutely think that the new Moderna or the Johnson & Johnson and all the vaccines are fantastic. Now, after a lot of people have gone and received shot 1 and shot 2, now there is a little bit of verbiage coming out saying, oh, well, we're finding out that some of the Moderna shots may cause and have caused some blood clots. Oh, that's good to know right now. And meanwhile, we're going through this COVID, and we've got somebody like Fauci saying wear 3 masks. And then we got the president, if you want to call him that, Biden, saying, well, I might let everybody have a barbecue in their backyard on Independence Day if you're good little soldiers and wear your masks. And nobody ever comes out hardly at all anywhere and damns the Chinese for releasing this virus on the world. And I don't care if you criticize me. I don't care if you've got relatives or something in China. Yes, I said damn the Chinese. The Chinese government absolutely is damnable, and I will continue to damn them for what they have done to unleash a killing virus on the world with ineptitude. And I sometimes wonder if it was ineptitude, and I think it wasn't on purpose. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gee whiz, world is turned upside down. High school band members having to crawl into a little banana plastic bag and sit there after they've zipped it up, take the mask off, and play their instrument. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental Sales, Service, and Parts. 3 locations. Pardon the cough. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location for the equipment you need for all the lifting, the digging, the pushing, the carrying. Oh, they've got all the Bobcats. Yes, they do. Trenchers, scissor lifts, and they've got those big Doosan wheel loaders. Man, down at the Burley location, they've got one of those big dudes parked right out in front. I mean, they can get the job done. And don't forget, too, the greatest and least rates, low lease rates, and absolutely great finance programs if you're wanting to buy at Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, the thing that really upsets me, I listened to the news this morning, and they're blaming this border situation on Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Trump had the situation almost corrected.
Yep.
If we'd had a little more cooperation from some of them worthless garbage men that they call Republicans, and a whole bunch of worthless garbage men they call Democrats, we'd had the border situation solved permanently. We wouldn't have any problem at all. They couldn't open that back up like they did. We'd have that border fence in all the way. We just stopped all these illegal drugs from coming in, plus all the illegal aliens.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy for the demented Democrats, and I don't care if they live here in this area, if they live someplace else. The Democratic Party has to point their finger and blame somebody else and some other party for what they've done now in 2 months to totally throw everything into chaos and disarray. It's all them, baby. It's all the Pelosi's, the Schumers, the Bidens. It's everybody on the Democratic side of the aisle. You've done this, and you've hurt the American public, and you've hurt our country of America.
You know what the problem with the whole situation is? It's all a bunch of Pelosi.
Yeah.
That's what comes out of the back end of a cow.
Well, I guarantee you, Jerry, you're not going to get any argument from me. You're preaching to the choir because I agree with you. I am fed up with it. As I said a moment ago, I think every state attorney general should be suing the Biden administration. Absolutely throw a lawsuit on them for what's going on the border and what's going into every state in the United States right now with COVID carriers, gang members, murderers, rapists, etc., that have just absolutely walked through our border.
And the other thing that really galls me is what's happening to our gas prices. Right now we're trying to get our crops in.
Yeah.
You know, farmers need that, a little bit of a break to get the crops in so we can have enough food to eat next year and the year after and the year after. and we're doing everything we can to hamper our people. The senior citizens have got to live with that gas price increase, which cuts their income down a whole bunch.
Yeah, that's it.
They can't go and take care of business like go to the dentist or go to the doctor. We're going to have a lot of sick people dying because of these worthless, ridiculous, horrible, rotten, corrupt, dishonest deals are doing to us there.
Absolutely.
All that comes from stopping the pipeline.
Absolutely. And then he's even trying to do more. Biden is cutting down and shutting down a lot of the gas and oil leases down in the southeast, especially in the Cajun country of Louisiana. It's all a planned approach to absolutely control America and have every human being under their thumb. I agree with what you said, and my hatred is getting worse by the minute against this sick, perverted Biden administration.
Well, Zeb, I kind of agree with you. It's just ridiculous what they're doing. I wish they would tell the truth. That girl he has speaking for him on the media is just absolutely a worthless, rotten, dishonest, putrid person. I don't think she has said one good thing that I agree with since she's been in there.
Yeah, Jen Psaki is a joke, but nobody's laughing, let me tell you. Jerry, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
Off the air, you have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless and keep on keeping on.
I will, my friend. Thank you so much. Appreciate your call. Thank you. You know, this is switching gears a little bit, but it's a sign of the times, and it shows how dumb we are at certain levels in our society, and especially the elitists at Columbia University. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'll take the call first. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, recently I've noticed charging stations for electric cars over to that mall. It used to be called the Snake River Mall. And now these electric cars that are coming from out of state, possibly, are going to be plugged into there using the electricity that is needed to heat our homes, to do all these things with our appliances and everything else. And the gas stations are going to dry up. And we don't have enough electricity now.
Keith, let me ask you, a question quick.
Got the car before the horse. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question quick before I run out of time here. You have been in the car business most of your adult life, so help me a little bit quick. If you were to say, and I'm sure you follow this, if you were to say, what's the average price right now, high, low, medium, average price on buying an electric car, what would you say the average price is?
I would have no idea, but I know a friend of mine that bought a Tesla. I think it was the top of the line, but it was $125,000.
Okay, let's do this for the sake of our conversation. Let's say that the average price would be $50,000. Okay, why should you on senior budgeting income? Why should I on budgeted income or anybody be forced and coerced by a sick banana republic leadership called Biden's administration, telling everybody we're going to cancel gas and diesel vehicles. Your trade-ins are no good. They can rot and rust right in your driveway, but you have to go buy a new $50,000 vehicle on your fixed senior income and try to budget that, pay the interest, pay the loan, and have a car that absolutely won't get you 100 miles without a doggone charge. This is insanity that we're allowing this to happen.
You know, the one thing that a lot of people are not thinking of is the fact they're raising the price of gas. That is artificial.
Yep.
That is not a shortage. That's an artificial thing.
That's right.
Because they want gas to be more expensive than electricity.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I don't care if you've got, I don't know how many are there, but let's just say that there's a area in Burley or Twin Falls that has like 12 charging stations. Gee, Keith, with literally thousands of vehicles on the road, how long are we going to be backed up trying to wait for a charge? Are you going to push that puppy up to the charge because it won't start when you're backed up like 73 car lengths? The idiocy that they're talking about just ain't going to work, my friend.
Yeah, and the tragic thing of it is, if they raise that price of electricity to cover their costs because if government subsidies go away, they can't exist either.
Yeah.
And so they spend more money getting this electricity, and pretty soon they can't afford that either.
You got it, my friend, and we the people have to pay the bill for these lunatics that call themselves leaders back in government. Keith, God bless you. Appreciate your call. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Yeah, I'm really upset about this gas deal. I've had some seniors call me that are dear friends, and they're going through some really hard times right now with the escalation of these prices. And I'm going through some hard times right now with the escalation of these prices. Like I said, based on a month, it's costing me right now, until the prices go up again, which they will, it's costing me well over $200 more a month to service my accounts and run my business. And it's going to go up higher and higher. And the idiocy of saying, well, we're going to take all the gas vehicles off the road, and we're going to make sure that nobody can sell any more gas vehicles or diesel vehicles, and we're going to just force everybody into buying electric cars. Really? Really? Take my lunch bunchers, for example. You're going to force every one of those people to go and finance maybe $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in their later years and have those extreme payments and interest rates? Really? Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you this story really quick because it just shows how stupid and naive we are as a society by allowing the nut jobs to take over, like at Columbia University. Columbia University is hosting 6 separate graduation ceremonies based on, and listen to this, here's how they categorize the graduation ceremonies: based on income levels, another one for race, another one for ethnicity, and it goes on and on. Graduation ceremonies are going to be held for just Native American and Asian folks. And then another one for Latinx, another one for blacks and first-generation and low-income folks. And then they're going to have their, I'm not making this up, lavender graduation for the LGBTQ, ABCDEFG, MICKEYMOUSE. Anyway, the lavender graduation for them. And all of these are going to take place online. And not one time in all these different graduation ceremonies at Columbia University, not one single time, were whites or Caucasians mentioned. Not one time. And when asked about this, Columbia University declined to comment. You think we don't live in a sick world? You think we don't need to get back to God and the basics of the Bible and what's right and wrong and morally right and wrong? Duh. Yes, we do. Time for the weather. And I tell you what, no, I'll take the call first because I know I don't want to keep you waiting. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
No, do the weather. I'm going to be long-winded.
Yes, sir. Captain Bell is at your service, Lieutenant. Thank you very much. Okay. Weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And by golly, I'll tell you what, they have the best practices and technology to serve your hearing health. They're right behind the Minidoka County Hospital across from the emergency room. And the number to call to make an appointment, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're going to continue on this warming trend as we make our way through the rest of the work week, and here is a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies today. High of 55 tonight, mostly clear, low of 29. Tomorrow, a little bit of a breeze, sunny skies, high of 61 with an overnight low of 34. By Thursday, mostly sunny, close to 70. 68 is going to be the actual high. Then by Friday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers, mostly in the afternoon, partly sunny, and 61. That's a look at your weather. 4-7-3.
I appreciate that, Gina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, where every patient has a customized approach for their hearing health. And these people really know and understand everything about hearing and health practices. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aid. Make an appointment today at 312-0957. Doug, I don't know if you're as upset as I am about what's going on in this world, but if this is just 2 months of the sick, perverted Biden administration, look out for 4 years, buddy. Where in the world are we going to be?
We'll be a third world country. They had 8 years under Obama to try to take this thing down, and they wanted a couple, 3 more years with Hillary to finish it off. Well, they realized they couldn't do it. They didn't get it done under Obama, and Hillary didn't get in to finish it. And President Trump stepped in and exposed a lot of it and reversed a lot of their deals. So they've got a long ways to go in a short time. And they want to get this done as soon as possible. They're going to come out with this infrastructure bill. It's going to be $4 or $5 trillion. Where's the money come from?
Well,
China.
Yep.
And eventually, when it gets close, China's going to say, hey, pay us.
Yep.
Or turn the country over to us. That's when the big revolution is going to happen.
Would you explain something to me? They want to have, and we all need, and we all know that bridges and roads are extremely important, and they are in complete disarray and shambles in many, many instances. But why, Doug? Why should we pay through the nose for an increase and betterment of roads and bridges when the damn gas is so high we can't afford to drive on them?
Well, that's when you get electric cars because they don't have to pay any mileage tax.
So where's the money going to come to pay for them?
That's just it. It isn't. It's going to be printed up. It's going to be borrowed from China.
I'm livid about this. Let me give you something that I've put together early this morning when I was sitting at my desk. And Sean, we got a little bit of feedback here, please. I made a short list of about 20 different things that are taken away from America, and I'm just going to highlight a couple of them. Illegals come in here, and they get health care, food, and housing on our dime. We do not have affordable energy. It's being taken away from us by the government. We are paying much higher taxes and uncontrolled debt. We are looking at a canceling of our culture, our heritage, and our history. We are seeing a cutback of our use of our lands. The government is telling us we can't go to church. Disincentives to work, stay home, but still get a paycheck. We can't buy certain things in the store anymore. We can't buy light bulbs. We can't buy certain size soft drinks. We have to cut back on our food portions. We can't build new homes unless we put on solar panels. We must buy an electric car. We can't say certain words or phrases. Doug, I am at the end of my rope on what's being taken away from us, and I only hit about 12 of these on my list.
Right. Where's our freedoms? They're being taken away step by step. And there's 2 things I want to mention. I just got a customer pull up. One thing is they can't round up all these illegals. They don't know where they're at to deport them, but yet they can issue them their paycheck, this $1,400 check.
Yeah.
And if the cancel culture is going to be for real, are we going to have to change the name of the White House?
Oh, absolutely. It'll be called the Biden-Obama Resort.
Yeah. Anyway, got to run.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. No, I'm serious. Other things on this list. We let the trans sick men play and destroy girls' sports. And we can't read certain books. We can't see certain movies. Gone with the Wind. A classic. And the cancel culture says, no, you can't have that anymore. And we have to keep our thermostat at 68 degrees or somebody's going to peek into our house and turn our heat down. If I want to stay warm in the winter, I'll turn my heat on whatever I want to stay warm. My joints are all broken and busted, and I'm going to stay warm. This is insanity as to what we've allowed to be taken away from us in this country. And I dare anybody in the audience listening right now to tell me I'm wrong on anything on this list, and I haven't, like I said, I really haven't gone through the entirety of the list that's been taken away from us in a free society. The greatest country ever on the face of the earth, the United States of America. Really? Really? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And another thing, while I'm up here on the soapbox doing a jig, H.R. 1. This bill is so dangerous and so insidious and so absolutely founded by lunatics in the Democratic Party that wants to destroy and change the whole fabric of voting in this country. And I want to give a great big shout out to Joe Larson the other day, coming on my program and talking about how dangerous H.R. 1, and it's known with such a totally stupid title, For the People Act. Well, it's not for the people. It's absolutely calling for open borders for voting. And the federal government will take over voting systems in this country. There'll be no checks and balances, no verification of who you are, and mail-in voting will run rampant. And I absolutely stand behind this, and if you don't like it, I don't care. If you're going to go to the polls and vote, take an ID. Prove who you are. If not, stay home. Watch Oprah. And if you can't go to the polls, yes, there has to be certain cases, physical, whatever, that if you can't go to the poll, we'll make sure that you get a vote and it's taken care of. But this mail-in balloting has got to stop. Go to the polls or don't vote, and make it on one day, not for a month. This is lunacy. And lunacy is the key word when it's tied to the Democrats and H.R. 1. It's got to be stopped. Boy, must have made a lot of people mad this morning. Anyhow, I want to remind everybody about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, with their big spring tire sale. You can really save money. Absolutely. Now is the time to get those tires on that vehicle. Now is the time to go down and talk about the different tread designs for what's best for your driving. Now is the time to make sure you drive safely with the big spring tire sale at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and Trent on Overland and Burley, with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this, and the best in service. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got 2 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Zeb, there's one thing that the Germans tried during World War II in England, and that was to flood their country with counterfeit money to break their economy.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not careful, and I'm a suspicious guy, and I think this could very well happen here in this country. Another danger we have is to cover all these expenses that Biden's dumping on us. He's going to get the printing presses going.
Oh, yeah.
How is that going to affect our economy?
No, it's just going to run inflation up in the triple and quadruple digits. What you're saying is absolutely possible, feasible, and happening. Tony, I've got time for one more call. I appreciate yours. Thank you very much. I got to cram everybody in. Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you. Caller, good morning. Quickly, you're on the air.
You betcha. Good morning, Zeb. You know, whatever happened to the old way of doing voting? I can remember my parents rushing home from work
to get
to the voting, and they had to have their IDs with them. We need to get back to the old way of doing things.
Donna, when you hear somebody come out with this stupid, and it is stupid, complaint saying, well, I didn't have time to go get an ID at the courthouse, and here it is voting day, and they're telling me I can't vote. Oh, come on. You've got 4 years. Get your little tail in the Volkswagen and go take care of it.
Yeah, budgeting your time is the most important thing you can do.
But, and the other thing is, quickly, and make it short and sweet, 30 days they want to extend it now to vote, and they want to have all mail-in balloting. I don't want it. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to damn it every time I get a chance.
Oh, I'll be right there behind you. No, there's no such thing as vote-in by mail. If you have extenuating circumstances, yeah, I can understand that.
Sure.
But not for everybody. No, get up off your lazy butts and go to the polls. You
are now my new secretary of how we're going to run this, dude. Thank you very much.
You call me later.
All right. I will, Donna. Thank you much. God bless you. We're going to take a little break right now. I got to calm down, man. I think I forgot to take my blood pressure medicine. I better go do that. Then we're going to get really back in the saddle again at 9:06 with Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance, and then at 9:30. Major General Mari Eder is going to be on the program. A very interesting segment. Don't go away. Old Sean's going to take it right now. We'll be back in 7. Oh, good morning and welcome back. Hour number 2 on this Tuesday, March 16th. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and of course the best in service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, it's time for this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, my goodness sakes, don't forget everything from the dumpsters all the way to the porta potties. Western Waste Services serving you, your family, and your business. Always at your disposal. Going to clean out the house, going to clean out the basement, the upstairs, the garage. Well, I'll tell you what, they've got dumpsters in various sizes. Call them. They'll drop one off. You fill it up, they'll come and get it. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Thank you very much. Also want to give a great big shout out. Yesterday, Deanna and I both were into Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell and his very, very efficient staff. Oh, these are nice people. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And they can tailor-make all the exercises to help you recuperating from a surgery or an accident. Oh, they want to get you back to being you. Absolutely. Write the number down. Give them a call, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, along with Nick's other venture that's absolutely phenomenal, Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley. One other quick note before we go to my dear friend Dan Kish, I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Hello, Joel Heward, family and staff, serving you. And serving is really the key word. They always provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and you can absolutely guarantee they will always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity, serving you and your loved ones. Please remember Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Let's go to the phone line right now, and boy, I tell you, every week he's on the program, we're going to try to get into different aspects of what the idiocy is with the Biden administration, with the lack of any kind of an energy program. Dan Kish, American Energy Alliance, my dear friend, how are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm well. How about you?
Hanging in, hanging on, just like the cat at the end of the rope, my friend. Trying.
Yeah.
Dan, I got to ask you for your expertise that you share with us on this program. And we've talked about this before, but there are so many seniors that I have talked to in the course of the last week alone that are making some real heavy decisions right now due to the increase of $1 or more per gallon already on diesel fuel and also gasoline. They're making decisions as to whether or not they can afford to drive to the dialysis 3 times a week, whether they can afford to go to the dentist, whether they can afford to go to the doctor. This is insane, and it's only going to get worse.
I'm afraid you're right, Zeb, and that's the plan. That's the important thing to know here is that despite their protestations to the contrary, that this is just something else not affecting it. The fact of the matter is this is what they want. I mean, back in the Obama administration, we had a Secretary of Energy who had called for prices akin to what they pay in Europe. And at the time, that was $8, and the price here was significantly less than that, obviously. But this has always been the dream. I mean, it's part of the drive behind their Green New Deal. The idea is to handicap the existing forms of energy, make it very difficult to use, to produce, to transport them, and to drive up their cost as a consequence. And then people say, oh, gee, I guess these electric cars are pretty good after all. But it's all artificial. It's all made up by government rationing or shortages created by government activities or prices that respond to that in the market. That's what's happening. I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of the Biden stuff hasn't really even kicked in, except for on the Keystone XL pipeline. But it sent a signal to people that, hey, the price of this is going to be more expensive because the United States is getting out of the business, or to the extent he can do it. He wants us to get out of the business of oil, coal, and gas, and switch over to something different. And as a result, people are saying if they're going to get out, and they're the number one producer of oil and gas and the number one reserves of coal in the world by far, if we're going to pull ourselves out of that and sit on the sidelines, then that means the price of everything else is going up, and that's reflected in our prices.
Yep, absolutely. Dan, share with me, and I know you've probably had thoughts of this, and probably not happy thoughts, but let's take a community of, 50,000 people, a city of 50,000 people. How many charging stations feasibly would that city of 50,000 people have to have in order to maintain some sense and sensibility to keep people moving, getting to their jobs, and getting commerce done every day? What are we talking about?
Well, if everyone had a garage, and in a city of 50,000 they don't, theoretically everyone could have a 240-volt charging system out in their garage. Now, the cost of doing that and wiring it would depend on a lot of things, whether the breaker box would take that, where it's located versus the garage, that sort of thing. So you could plug it in at night, theoretically. And presently what they do is they run around talking about how that's great because at night electricity prices are low. Because demand for electricity isn't high. Well, that's going to change. Mm-hmm. if everybody is plugging in a car that's going to take a lot of electricity to charge its batteries for that day, the price is going to go up. It's going to change. All of a sudden, that's going to be a demand period. So everything they tell you, when you peel back the next layer of the onion, you realize is just bunk. And so, you know, in terms of fast chargers, who knows? I mean, it would depend on, and what I'm talking about there is some of your listeners may be familiar with three-phase power. It's typically not available in a household.
Right.
But with that kind of a system, you can charge a battery, theoretically, depending on the type, to about 80% of a full charge in something approaching an hour.
Wow. So
you'd have to wait for an hour to get a fast charge if you were going on a long trip. So no one quite knows, but I'll tell you one thing, it's going to take a lot of copper.
Oh, my.
It's going to take a lot of copper. Not only for the cars, but also for the charging systems and for the wiring of all the rest, and just try to open a copper mine in the United States.
Okay, well, let's set the stage here in southern Idaho. We're roughly 130 miles away from Boise. And let's say that I have one of those four-wheeled wonders, those great Biden electric cars, and I've driven all day the day before, and I know I've got to go to Boise on, let's say, Thursday or Friday, and I stick my little car in the garage, and I have already put in the implementation to go to where I can charge it right out there in the garage. How much on a per monthly basis, roughly, would that charging of a vehicle add to my already escalating electricity rates for my home and residence?
Ooh, that's a great question, and it's all site-specific, Zeb. I mean, it depends. In Idaho, because your rates are low because of hydroelectric power that some people want to tear down,
yeah,
it would be less than it would be in other parts of the country. But it's also going to go up because it's going to go up. Not only do you have to pay, it's going to cost you at least $1,000 to put one of these things in your garage.
Oh my goodness!
Possibly more than that.
Yeah.
Simply so you can recharge it at home. So there's the upfront cost, and your bill's going to go up. And depending on how your electric bill is now, it's going to go up considerably. I mean, you're basically talking about a replacement for your gasoline and diesel bill. And if they're going to go to windmills and solar panels, then it's going to be that much more because all of these things, they're messing with every aspect of this. And I wish I had simple answers for you, Zeb. I don't. All I know is this. If it's going to double the demand for electricity, and that's what Elon Musk says it's going to do, we're going to have to build all of that stuff, which is going to be reflected in the electric rates that you'll pay to charge your car, but also to, to run your air conditioning or all of the lights in your house and everything else. And those rates are going to go up, and they're going to go up and up and up as more demand takes place. So it hasn't really been well thought out. It's sort of been masterminded by the college professors who sit in ivory towers and try to figure out how to micromanage all this stuff. But when it comes to the ground, when it comes to trying to get an electrician over to your house, rig this stuff up, or enough linemen to be able to build the lines necessary and the equipment, which I guess I'll have to run on batteries, so we're going to have a Cat D9 with a battery powered or something. These people, they don't know how to screw in a light bulb, but they can design on paper how everybody else is going to live, and it looks really, it just looks magical to them.
Yeah.
In reality, it's a nightmare for everybody else.
I've got 1,000 questions to throw at you here, but we've got a caller with a question or a comment. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Dan. Going green, how available will 240 volts be?
Well, typically 240 is the service into a house. At least that's the custom where I live and have lived in other parts. And then it breaks down into 110 for running through your house. But if you have an electric range, for example, or an electric water heater, that's a 240 circuit. You're going to need a box on the end of that, which adds considerably to the cost, because when you're charging a battery, it's for an automobile, very expensive and complex and exotic Chinese battery. They have to have a device that actually, it's not as simple as just plugging it into a 240 volt socket. There's a fairly exotic device that goes into the wall. So I think most people have access to 240. The question is whether they've got it readily available, and then whether their system can handle that additional demand, and what that means. As you know, anytime you start messing with wiring or plumbing or anything else, there's always complications, and these are the sorts of things college professors don't understand.
Absolutely.
Because they hire people to do that for them.
Absolutely.
And that just happens by magic, and the water comes out of the pipes, and boy, they're happy.
Yeah. Thank you, caller. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much. Dan, let's go back to the basics here for a minute. We have heard this silly, frivolous, and not real bright Biden administration say, well, we're going to stop having the sales of automobiles that are dependent on fossil fuels in the next couple of years. And used car lots aren't going to be able to sell those vehicles. And they keep going on and on and on. Well, here's a retired couple. Let's say that Joe and Martha are 70 years of age, and they've got almost everything paid for. They live on a very, very Spartan budget, and they've got everything paid for. But then along comes the government, and they've both got a vehicle, and they say, oh, well, we're going to have to get rid of our vehicles now, even though they're paid for, and we have to go out and finance maybe a $50,000 electric car, and then pay for the charging fees and everything. How are seniors on fixed incomes ever going to be able to abide by this lunacy?
Well, therein lies the issue, Zeb. They think, the beauty of America is we have 300 and some million people who all do the best they can given their individual circumstances. They may live in a rural area, that they may live in a city. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, their lives are all differently. And the idea that somehow some brainiacs in Washington, D.C., or New York City, or Silicon Valley can sit back and try...
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it is.
Wow, what happened?
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, well...
These idiots are forcing us to buy. Not because we want them necessarily, but because they can. And our country gets weakened. The future for our children or grandchildren, it gets weakened. They're put in a place, and if they don't like the United States being the number one country in the world, wait until they see what it looks like if China gets to be the number one country in the world.
Well, and they are. I mean, there's no doubt about it, Dan, that China, they're not knocking on the door. They're tearing the door off the hinges in their wants to be the world leader. And they will stoop to any measures to take over that number one position. But what I'm saying is, how in the world can our economy expect to flourish and pay those stupid taxes for infrastructure, H.R. 1 and the COVID relief, any plan you want to talk about, when people are so broke they can't even afford to go to the grocery store and buy a loaf of bread? This is insane.
Yeah, it really is. When you step back from it, Zeb, I mean, it's almost like they're trying to destroy it.
Yeah.
Almost like they're trying to destroy the system. And, you know, there are people who've always held that that's the right thing to do, and then they'll rebuild it. But, that, you know, that's as old as the dawn of time, that there was always somebody who wanted to be Mr. Big and tell everybody else what to do. And unfortunately, they gravitate towards politics, and the media gives them a pass because they cover themselves in green. But ultimately what it is they're telling you what to do. You no longer have the choice. Nothing's keeping you from buying an electric car today. But also nothing's keeping you from buying an internal combustion engine. And you figure it out for yourself. That's the way America is supposed to be. These people don't like that. They want you to do what they think is right. And they'll go to whatever lengths they can until stopped to do it.
I sit here, and as we were talking about all the people trying to implement and install charging units into their homes, and then various cities just having literally acres and acres of parking lots with the electric charging stations, and I'm reminded of a scene in Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation when he plugged in those gazillion lights, the shot that they took of his power and the power monitors, the needles were going off the hook, and that's what I see happening to our electric grid.
I think that's pretty. I think that's actually a pretty good representation. I watched that with my grandsons this Christmas, and that's probably what will happen. And I'm telling you, Zeb, they're messing around with it. It's not going to be a good thing. It's not going to be a good thing.
No.
And like I say, China's just sitting back, licking its chops.
Absolutely. Dan, I know I was springing a lot of stuff on you that we hadn't talked about or mentioned beforehand, but I really appreciate your candid remarks as always. Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance, a dear friend of this program every Tuesday. Dan, thank you. God bless. And somehow we've got to hang in there and fight back. Thank you.
Thanks, Zeb. God bless you and your listeners.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. During the course of that conversation, I don't think it affected Dan, but I was cut off, and I have no idea. It's probably the Gremlins or partly the Democratic Party. They cut us off. I don't know. Anyway, I want to remind everybody before we go to our next guest about Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, it's true. Zeb's Lunch Bunch is coming back. Coming back on April 1st. We're going to be over there, and that's not an April Fool's joke. It's for real. We're going to be there on April 1st at 11:30, and boy, some of the great new menu choices, like they've got what they call now the new bowls, and they've got the pot roast bowl, and they got the chicken addiction bowl, and they've got the Big Dipper melt with the tender pot roast and melted Swiss cheese. Oh, it sounds so good, it is, and really nice people serving you at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley. And don't forget, our Zeb's Lunch Bunch will be there on Thursday April 1st. Another reminder, too, about some folks that I just really am high on for the great service work that they provide, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The very best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more with Todd and the staff that are really dedicated and responsive to your needs. What do you have to do? Easy. Just call the number, make an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. The best serving you, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really good folks. We're going to have our guest on momentarily, but I also want to remind you, too, about what's going on at Redder's Showcase. It is the March Madness at Redder's Showcase at 2611 Overland in Burley. Holy moly, they've got prizes. Yes, they've got prizes, over $6,000 in prizes. Sign up at the store, and winners are going to be announced on March 27th. Stop in and check out all the great buys on Whirlpool, Amana, Maytag, KitchenAid appliances, everything for March Madness. They've got refrigerators starting at just $3.99. Great selection of freezers. Oh my goodness, don't put it off. Stop in today. Redder's Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley. March Madness. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the phone line and welcome a person that has not been on my program in the past, and I'm looking forward to talking to her. I want to say the name right, and I'm going to say it my way first, and then she can correct me. We say good morning to Major General Mari Eder with the United States Army, retired as the former Army Deputy Chief of Public Affairs. How close was I to the correct pronunciation?
You got the important half. So my last name is Eder, and my first name is Mary.
You know, when I saw the I on the end of your name, I thought, maybe she pronounces it Mari. So it's Mary Eders, and thank you so much for the correction. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Let me ask you, you've got a brand new book out, and it's called American Cyberscape, Trials and the Path to Trust. You know, I read a little bit about what the excerpt said about your book and everything, but wow, have we lost our ability to discern what is true, what's honest, and what's really going on, and what does your book do to help straighten us out?
Well, we've really been on the downhill slide as far as trust and truth in our institutions over the past 10 years at least. So when we get to these surveys that I follow, they typically come out in January. What's happened in the last year has taken us right to rock bottom with trust in government, business, NGOs, and the media. So we have a long way to go to reestablish trust.
Well, Mary, I hope you don't mind if I call you Mary, or do you prefer Major General? Please help me on that. How do we develop a trust that has been diminished or dashed on the rocks? How do we rebuild it again when we've got people like CNN, MSNBC, and others just literally looking into the camera and lying to us?
Well, part of it, to me, is we engage. We have to engage with media to call out when we see things that are wrong. And we have to fact check. We have to educate ourselves as to what's really happening here. And I think that we don't do that because there's so much information out there. It's not knowledge. It's just information, and it comes at us in a blizzard. And before we can adjust to what just hit us today, there's another blast coming tomorrow. We go from crisis to crisis. We don't see issues finished. We don't plan strategically or long-term. And what we are really seeing here is an absolute lack of common sense with how information is relayed to us. We expect absolutes. Sometimes they don't exist. So if we're talking to experts and they say, here is what we know now about wearing masks, this could change. We may not be right about everything. We're more likely to believe somebody who is humble and honest and has common sense rather than this is the way it is, and then when they change it tomorrow, there's no apology or looking back.
You know, you really stated that very succinctly, and first thing that came to my mind, Major General, is Anthony Fauci. At first, when the COVID crisis started, he said, oh, well, mask wearing, that's not important, and then all of a sudden did a flip-flop and said we must wear masks and distancing of not less than 6 feet between people, and now recently changing another flip-flop and saying, well, one mask was okay, but let's try 2 or 3. This whole thing borders on insanity. Would you agree that really nobody seems to know what they're talking about?
If nobody explains where this came from or why, or says, yeah, we got it wrong, or we didn't realize this was happening, or because nobody wants to admit they got something wrong, do they? So they change things, but we don't know why, so all it does is erode our trust even further.
You know, when you talk about honesty and trust, I got to be honest with you. I think that President Trump took shots from the media that were absolutely uncalled for. As a matter of fact, just this morning, there are words coming out that, oh, well, the Washington Post and others have said, oops, maybe some of the statements that we attributed to Donald Trump were not really true and they were fraudulent, long after the fact now that he's left office. In politics, how in the world are we ever going to regain trust and regain somewhat truth when every single day it seems like there's more lies and innuendos?
Well, if we look at history, we've never liked politics in this country, and we've never trusted politicians. I look at some of these surveys. One of them is a Roper survey, Pew surveys that look at trust, not just in the broad sense of institutions, but more directly, I think. And so as they look at those institutions that we rate the highest right now, that is one is small business. The next is the military, although that has dropped as well. And what we think the least of is the U.S. Congress, and then broadcast news media. So there's a wide disparity between those we trust and those we don't. Why do we trust some of these institutions, like small business or the military or even the police in some areas? Is because we see them, and we need to see them, as self-policing institutions, values-based, take care of their own problems, and don't try to hide them.
Let me ask you.
Is that always true? No, I'm sure there's errors in every institution that we have, but I think as a general practice, there is trust there because that is what we see in a very general sense.
When it comes to the military, and I'm going to be very blunt when I ask this, Major General, how much can we believe when you have so many different fingers in the pie that are disseminating some of the information about our military and putting it out in front of the public? I mean, the military, how honest is it in a nutshell?
I'll tell you that I can see and read any story about the U.S. Army, and I can understand what really happened. And I can understand how it was reported in a certain way because of how things look on the surface rather than what really happened internally. And I have a great deal of sympathy for those reporting on the military because it's a difficult institution if you don't understand it or have never been in it. So it's a whole language, it's a whole culture, it's a whole political entity unto itself. So what I think we have seen lately are some individuals making comments about how things are decided that make themselves look good. And we have to take a look at those, I think, very critically and say, no, that isn't what it was. And we also have to go back to why. Why is this a story today? Why is this coming out now? What is the real purpose here? Because sometimes there is a purpose in it. And because we're so used to that overwhelming flood of information coming at us, we're not thinking about where it came from or why it's there today. It could well be laying the groundwork for something else to come tomorrow, or it could be a mea culpa in a way, or paving the way for something else. So I want to know, why is this here now? Why did this start? And I think trying to get to that type of understanding is very helpful.
Let me ask you this when it comes to politics and politicians. And Sean, I've got a little feedback on the line here, if you would. But when it comes to politics and politicians and the military, has politics in general been fair to the military in this country in the last decade?
I think that our senior leaders for the U.S. Army are very, very conscious of the need to stay bipartisan, impartial, and be apolitical. That doesn't mean that within that institution that there is politics. There is. It's a very different kind. It is not what we're talking about in terms of public governance. But within the institution, there is always a push and pull over programs, funding. When it's limited funding you have for projects and programs, there's always going to be a little bit of dissension and different opinions between certain factions.
When you say that, Major General, I'm going to ask you this question. With the relaxing of the standards of the military, I'm personally opposed to some of the relaxation of standards. I think the military and the people involved, and I've been very supportive of the military on this program, very supporting of our veterans, etc. But I think with some of the relaxing of standards to basically make it easier, I don't like that, nor do I think it's good for the military in general. Would you agree or not?
Are you talking about relaxing of standards for recruiting?
There's quite a few different standards as far as some of the relaxing that they've done on recruiting, and also some of the things that they've done to make it easier, and I'm going to be blunt, for women to be involved in the military. I just think that there has to be certain standards, whether they're tough or not, they have to be maintained.
I think what we're seeing is there is one standard, and you either meet it or you don't. And if you're a woman and you can't meet it, then you can't. I'll tell you that when you're 18, you think you can do anything. And so we do see quite a bit of that. And we continue to see, as new generations come along, that they can do a lot of physical things that previous generations couldn't. And some of that is when you started as a kid, when you begin to run or you lift weights or you do pull-ups. If you do that at a younger age, you're better able to do it later. I don't see that there is a relaxing of competency standards whatsoever. In recruiting over the past few years, there have been several times in which we have had to recruit. And again, I'm not a government spokesperson anymore. This is from my experience. But if we look at recruiting and we'll recruit to a certain level, and we need more people, it's going to get more difficult to bring people in at that higher competency level in general. So what we have seen is perhaps we have permitted people to join the military who didn't quite meet the same standard we had employed before, if you will.
Yeah.
That has not worked well. And it has certainly been realized that we need to not do that again. But it gets increasingly difficult to recruit from young Americans 18 to 24. They're very much involved with sports, with esports, with online games. We're also seeing that some of them are not physically capable. So if I were to take any 10 young men in that age group, there would probably only be 3 who would even be eligible to join the military.
Let me throw this at a different angle to you, Major General. We've heard quite a few reports in the last couple of weeks, the what-if type attitude. What if we went to war with so-and-so? What if our military was pressed into action? Are they as tough as they used to be? Are the mindsets of military leaders and the military itself as tough, the John Wayne attitude, as they used to have? But I'm going to go one step further backward and say, what about pride in America through our school system, through our education system, etc.? That pride seems to be lacking. Does that bother you, seeing that, and what effect it might have on the military in general?
Well, I think what you're talking about is educational standards in our schools.
Absolutely.
We really need to get to where we do teach civics again. There's a lot of schools now that don't. So we see young people who don't understand how government works. what the houses of Congress do, excuse me, how state government works, how elections come together, so they don't understand how democracy functions. And that makes it extremely difficult then to be a good citizen if you don't understand how your democracy comes together.
Absolutely.
What we're seeing now, I think, is other institutions are taking up some of this slack. I recently saw a whole program for teaching safe surfing on the Internet for grades 3 through 8 that was created by the FBI. I would have never thought that, but it fulfills a need. It's standardized across the board, across the country, and there's been over 1 million kids who've been through it now. So it's performed a service. But it was one that was probably the responsibility of the educational systems to do, but it came from somewhere else. We're also seeing police departments that make lists of games or apps that are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And they publish these so parents know what to look for.
You know, when you look at your book and the reason for the book, give us kind of a general theme of what the audience can expect from page 1 all the way to the close of the back cover. What do you want people to take away from your book?
I think that because of the speed and the pace at which information comes at us, that we're no longer able to discern for ourselves excuse me, and what is real and what isn't, nor can we trust in our institutions to help us. So what I wanted to do with this book, which started as a series of articles, was to help people make an assessment of how to look at things. So if you look at this and you go, why is this here? Where did it come from? Rather than just accept it. Sorry, it's allergies. Something is blooming.
Yes, ma'am.
So then how do I figure that out? And where do I go for help?
You know, the book itself, I want to reiterate the title right here, American Cyberscape, Trials and the Path to Trust. Where can it be found, and what outlets can people get the book, Mary?
It can be found in Barnes & Noble, any other bookstores, and on Amazon, and I think it's even at Walmart.
Well, I want to wish you a lot of success with this book, but if you were to give away one little secret in the book, how are we going to turn this bus around the way the United States is going and the attitude and the millennial generation and everything? How are we going to turn the bus around before it goes over a cliff? What are your suggestions?
In some ways, the whole Internet sensation it's taken us by surprise still. Now, it was in 1989 we started with the 24-hour news cycle, but I don't think we're still used to it. So we're not used to the amount of information that comes at us and how to deal with it. And if we talk about having phones in our pockets for the last 10 years, and now we're addicted to them, we have to learn to manage ourselves. We have to protect our privacy so that our personal data isn't stolen. And we have to be very much aware all the time of what's going on out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish you a lot of success with this book. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been visiting with Major General Mary Eder, United States Army retired, with her book called American Cyberscape, Trials and the Path to Trust. Major General, thank you so much for coming on the program, and the very best to you and success on the book. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
God bless. Thank you very much. Very interesting person. I felt so sorry for her because allergies at this time of the year, and she's back on the East Coast, and I can imagine all the trees budding out and everything, and it's tough. So my sympathies go out to her. When I was a little boy, I had allergies, and man, I'll tell you what, this time of the year, going through April and the first part of May, sneeze, cough, all the time, and I felt really sorry for her. Thank you, Major General Mary Eders, for being on the program. I better pay some bills. But before I do that, we'd better have a weather forecast. And then I would love to have some calls come in. I've got some extra time here this morning. That's unusual. And our weather forecast this hour is being brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The professionals when it comes to accounting services for the Mini-Cassia area and beyond, and they have been for over 50 years. They know what they're doing to help you, your family, and your business with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning. Oh, the list goes on and on. They are the professionals, and they can help you. Remember, in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
We're going to continue on this warming trend as we make our way through the rest of the work week. And here is a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies today. High of 55 tonight, mostly clear, low of 29. Tomorrow, a little bit of a breeze, sunny skies, high of 61 with an overnight low of 34. By Thursday, mostly sunny. Close to 70, 68 is going to be the actual high. Then by Friday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers, mostly in the afternoon, partly sunny, and 61. That's a look at your weather for Zebit the Ram.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I said, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area and beyond, and they are waiting to serve you. Please get a hold of them today. Offices at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The professionals, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. Give us a jingle on the landline. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about this morning for the remainder of this hour, please. I'm trying to think about some of the other topics that I want. I wanted to mention this one more time while I'm waiting for your call. The Vietnam Veterans of America Post 1144 is having a dinner for Vietnam veterans and their spouses on Monday, March 29th at 6 p.m. at the Rupert Senior Center, 702 11th Street in Rupert. Tickets are available from our friend Chuck Driscoll at 208-670-5183. You get a hold of them today. All right, give me a jingle. That's easier said than done sometimes, but this caller's right there. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Thank you.
It's me again, Margaret.
Yes, thank you very much.
Hey, you know what I'm getting upset about with Pelosi? Is she's wanting to overturn an election in Ohio that has been certified.
Yep.
And there's not a word being said about she's un-American and she's all this, like they've done against Trump and when he was complaining.
You know, Doug, I don't have to tell you this. You know it's a fact, and it's too bad most people in America don't realize this, that the Democrats and the liberalness that they have and employ that permeates into the media and all fashions of the media, whether it's the newspapers, the radio, or the TV, they are in complete control of what is released to the American public, much of which we talked about just a moment ago with Major General Eaters. I mean, until we can open up honest and straightforward communication again, this country will never know the truth.
Exactly. That's exactly right. If we need a media that will hold everybody's feet to the fire when they do wrong. And we don't have it.
You know, one thing I want to say here is that, and I'm not patting myself on the back because I make mistakes. And when I make a mistake, I want to be corrected because I will not let that information stay or linger out in the public without having the corrected form, the right form. But I get up and I go through every single story 2 to 3 times before I put it on the air to verify it and make sure that it's A-OK for putting on my program. Why can't others put the same energy into what they put on the news and really verify their facts?
Well, the reason they don't do it is, like you said, they're in bed with the Democrats. They're afraid of losing their job if they start voicing the truth and digging into stories and saying, hey, you know, you're saying we've got to say it like this, but this is what I'm finding out when I look into it.
Well, look at... Look at Donald Trump. Look at Donald Trump. I got to throw this at you one more time. Look at overnight, the Washington Post and others. Now they're coming out and saying, oh, well, gee, the misquote of Donald Trump saying to go find the fraud in the 2020 election, it didn't happen. Excuse me. But now, here, way after the election, they're coming out and saying, well, I guess that was a fraudulent statement and shouldn't have been said. Oops, too late.
Well, yeah. That's exactly how they do it. They say something, and then they say it's easier to get forgiven than permission to say say what we're saying. But
yeah.
They're just leading us down a rabbit hole. And they're leading us astray, taking our freedoms away from us just a little at a time. Because if you used to step in and say, okay, tomorrow we're going to be a socialist country, there's going to be a big uproar. But if you take just a little here, just a little there, just a little there, and don't teach the kids what your rights are, don't teach them the Constitution, then it's easier to take their rights away if they don't know what you're taking away.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something else, that if they keep going with this increase, this sadistic, vile, evil increase on petroleum products, and literally they're going to break the back of everybody in this nation that's trying to get through COVID, trying to get their businesses back open, trying to make somewhat of a profit in their business, profit in their lifestyle, so they've got something to buy the kids new shoes and maybe take mom out and let her buy a new dress. This thing is absolutely, it's insidious what's going on right now, because energy is going to break the back of the entire United States, and it's going to happen in less than a year.
Oh, yes. And that's what they want to do. You can overthrow a country by bankrupting it easier than you can invading it with an army forces.
And tell me quickly, Doug, because I've got a commercial to do, what can we, the people, do to fight back? Honestly, everybody says, well, at the polls, at the ballot boxes, we can make sure we go vote. Wait a minute. Everybody went and voted in the last election, and look what happened there. And there's got to be some answers to restore integrity and the power back to we, the people. Right now, I don't see any.
Well, it's got to start locally. It's got to start in your county governments. It's got to start in your state governments to enact the laws that are on the books and enforce them. If somebody has voter fraud, throw the book at them. Somebody breaks the law, throw the book at them. Until we get back to a one-tier justice system, we're just barking in the wind.
Amen. Amen, my dear friend. I appreciate it. I got to run, Doug. I got a commercial to get in and get to the news. Thank you so much.
But can I get everybody to call Mike Simpson's office and ask him how he's going to pay for all this and how he's going to take care of the commodities coming out of Lewiston?
I wish they would.
His phone number, 202-225-5531. And I've called 4 weeks in a row, asked for an answer to 2 questions, and I have yet to hear a word from him.
Well, he's busy being up on the mountaintop as the guru. He's got a herd of goats that he's got to take care of.
Right. So I'm considering starting a petition to recall him.
Make sure I get a copy. Thank you. Right, thank you much. Don't forget Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley with Curtis and Lorena. Absolutely, they know everything about electronic needs that you might have, like home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems. Oh, they know sound. They are really, really sharp. And they've got the best of Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. Great selection waiting for you. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know it, they've also got a selection of dehydrated food already in stock at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. And they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Please give them a call, 678-6997. And that's Patterson's Electronics, waiting and working for you. Right now, let's go to the news. I'll be back in 7. Oh, know, with that music, it means I've got to get back and get to work, and I've got to crack the whip and tell Dr. History, get in here and sit down at your chair. We're going to go to you in just a moment. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and service. Stop in and see them today. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Some friends I want to talk about before we go any further, and that's, of course, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Hello, Jeff and the rest of the staff over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. I mean, they're having a great big sale right now on mattresses in stock, so you can get a good night's sleep. Stop in and check that out today. Window coverings are 40% off, and they've got all your carpet and tile and luxury vinyl, all your recliners. I mean, hey, for the comfortization and the beautification of your home, look no further than Jeff and the great staff at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more, 459 Overland in Burley. By the way, I never did ask Dr. History. I'm going to turn your mic on early here. Do you know how to play the guitar?
No.
Have you had lessons?
No.
Let's both take lessons from Marcus Meeks Guitars, and I'll tell you what, he is a wizard when it comes to the guitar. Marcus Meek Guitar Lessons at 1459 Conant Avenue in Burley. Number to write down right now. Boy, I'm honestly thinking about getting back into it. 312-9093. 312-9093. He can teach all styles of guitar, Monday through Thursday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., and he's also available to play at banquets and dinners. He took a hiatus for a while. He is back with a vengeance in teaching the best of guitar. Marcus Meek Guitar Lessons. 312-9093. You get a hold of that man today. Right now, we're going to turn everything on and visit with... You weren't here last week. How's your wife doing, by the way?
She's doing better, and
Good.
I've got to say something today, Zeb. Today is a very special day. It's my anniversary.
No.
And I want to tell my sweet wife, happy anniversary. Wherever you want to go eat today, we're going. 43 years, Zeb.
Well, you're still 7 behind us.
Oh, okay.
We're celebrating 50 this year.
I'm glad I'm not as old as you, Zeb.
Don't rub it in. I have the power of the switch of the microphone.
That's true.
No, your lovely bride. 43 years.
43 years, yep. Okay. It's been great.
Did you put a cap on the spending, though, and say you can go anywhere to eat as long as it's a drive-in or something? Or?
No cap. Wherever you want to go. McDonald's, Wendy's, you name it.
You're not going to spare any quarters, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I got to say hi to a few people first. I want to say hi to Larry, and, I really appreciate listeners giving me suggestions. Mm-hmm. So he gave me the suggestion of something called the Great Diamond Hoax that happened in 1872 in northwest Colorado. So I'm going to look up that and see what that's all about. Josh, over in BC, Canada, he suggested one called Cataline. And evidently this guy was a legendary packer up in Canada. So I'm going to look that up. And then I had a veterinarian by the name of Max call me, or email me, because I talked about buffalo, how hard it is to shoot them right in the head and kill them. And he explained to me where to place the bullet between the eyes and below the horns to kill a buffalo.
Well, now, the Indians, when they were hunting a horseback, they used to shoot arrows into the neck area, didn't they?
Well, or the lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Brian, I want to say hi to Brian, and he's in Tennessee.
Well, my goodness, the volunteer state.
Yeah, so we've got some good listeners out there, and I appreciate suggestions for stories. I've got a pretty good list now that I need to start going down and doing those stories.
You thrive on this stuff. Your eyes just start to light up. You look like a cheap neon sign.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's a good thing this is radio.
Okay.
So today's this March is honoring Women in History Month.
Right.
Last week I talked about Louise Schuurman up in Coeur d'Alene. Today I'm going to talk about a woman they call the Pocahontas of Georgia. And as I go along, you'll see why she deserves to be up there with Pocahontas.
Okay.
So we're going to go clear back to 1700, so a long time ago. So
at the time you were born.
Right in there, yeah. But, you know, from a very young age until the end of her life, Mary Musgrove Bosworth, as she is remembered in history, was basically in two worlds. Her Indian heritage and her white way of life. She lived like the English with regard to her home, her clothing, marriage, her political activity, but she remained strongly connected to the Native American people. And kind of the sad thing is, Zeb, she was kind of misunderstood by both cultures, both the white culture and the Indian culture. But the circumstances that thrust Mary into history started in England in 1729. So now she's almost 30 years old.
Oh, my. General
James Oglethorpe, a soldier, secured a commission from King George II to establish the colony of Georgia. So Oglethorpe hoped it would serve as a haven for, Europe's people, the debtors, the religious refugees. So the king signed the charter on June 9th, 1732. So now in November 1732, Oglethorpe left England with about 120 colonists. The ship stopped in South Carolina. Oglethorpe and a few others paddled their boats up the Savannah River. He spotted a bluff that overlooked the river, and he thought, well, that'll be a good location for a settlement. So the Indian tribe, the Yamacraws, are a split-off group of the Creek Indians.
And this is where, in Georgia?
In Georgia, yeah, and South Carolina. So anyway, this Yamacraw Indian tribe lived about 3 miles from this bluff that he was looking at. Now, their chief was named Tomachichi, and he greeted the English, but Oglethorpe wanted to ask permission for his band to settle on this bluff, but neither of them spoke English, so the chief sent for Mary Musgrove. Now, she was the daughter of his sister, and the Indians had given Mary the title of princess. Well, Mary spoke English really well and translated between the two leaders. In addition, she helped ease the Indians' objections to the English settling there.
So she had an English name, but she was
half Indian and half white.
I see.
Yeah. So she knew, and I'll explain how she grew to learn English. But anyway, Oglethorpe hired Mary and agreed to pay her 100 English pounds per year. Now that was a lot back then. I'm going to say that had to be maybe $250 in American, yeah. But anyway, the general made her the go-between between them and the Creek Indians and her tribe. So Mary was not very big, 5 feet tall, 100 pounds, and by now she's 33 years old. She had hair that hung down in 2 long braids, and she stuck a feather into a band of beads she wore across her forehead. Kind of get the picture of this very petite, sweet Indian woman with a feather in her band there. Anyway, her story starts in the settling of South Carolina when the English settled Charleston, South Carolina in 1670. The Creek Indians actually welcomed them to get protection from other Indians and from the Spanish friars who were there trying to convert the Indians. So they kind of got together with them. Now, the Creeks' loyalty to the English did not last long. In 1715, they joined forces with their relatives, the Yamasees, and I hope I'm saying that right.
No, you're on your own.
The Yamasee tribe, to attack Charleston. And this started what they called the Yamasee War. Well, the attack was a failure. The Creeks then sought Cherokee help to pursue another attack, but the Cherokee aligned with South Carolinians against the Creeks, and they signed a peace treaty with the Carolinians, and the Creeks and the Carolinians began to trade in 1718.
So this was all at the same time that our forefathers were planning and getting ready to go ahead with the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, starting, it was heading that direction. Yeah. So Mary was born around 1700. And her father was more likely a guy by the name of Edward Griffin, who was a licensed trader. When she was between the ages of 7 and 10, Mary's father took her to South Carolina. She was baptized and educated as a Christian. She learned to speak English and was given the Christian name Mary. Now, in 1716, so here she is 16 years old, the government of South Carolina sent Colonel John Musgrove to negotiate the treaty that would end the Yamasee War. Now, he had a son named John Musgrove Jr., and he went along with his father, and he fell in love with this beautiful Indian princess and asked her to marry him. Well, the marriage took place in 1717, so she's 17 years old, which was not abnormal, 16, 17, to get married. Now, although Mary actually married 2 more times, she is best known today by the name of Mary Musgrove.
I see.
Now, the newlyweds lived among the Cherokee in Georgia for several years. Then they went back to South Carolina about 1723, and they lived there for another 7 years. They had 2 sons, Edward and James. They relocated in 1732 to where Savannah, Georgia is now, right in that area.
I see.
Now, this was a year before this General James Oglethorpe founded the Georgia colony. So the couple opened a trading post. Mary was very good at business. She had really good business skills. The trading post grew. 1/6 of Charlestown's annual export, 12,000 pounds of deerskins, passed through the Musgroves trading post. They also owned cattle. So they had a very thriving business going there between the trading post and the cattle.
And what year was that?
That would have been 1732.
I see.
Right in there. So when Oglethorpe settled the new colony of Georgia, he gave Mary gifts to become her friend. Now, those new settlers had to establish relations with the local Indians and those in South Carolina. So Oglethorpe often called on Mary to interpret and negotiate between his government and the Indians. So Mary used her influence to convince the Yamacraw, which was her tribe, part of the Crow, what did I say?
Creek.
Had a little, anyway.
I get those bubbles a lot.
Let me start over.
Okay.
Mary used her influence to convince the Yamacraw, which was her tribe, Indians, to cede a portion of their land to the colonists.
I see.
Oglethorpe admired and trusted her so much that he began to regularly seek her for advice. Now, both Georgia and South Carolina tried to have the upper hand in trade with the local Native Americans in the rum trade. Okay? Mary helped Georgia win that rivalry. So now, 1734, Mary again used her influence when she interpreted at the meeting between Choctaw Chief Red Shoes and Georgia's leaders. 2 years later, when tensions arose, Oglethorpe again asked Mary to serve as an interpreter at a meeting with Chigili, leader of the Lower Creeks tribe. And 2 or 3 years after the Musgroves moved to Georgia, John, her husband, died.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. So here she is. She's, 34, 33 years old.
Yeah.
She has these 2 boys, but her first husband died. So Mary had a home in Savannah. She had 1,400 acres of land. She also held an important position in the colony because of her relationship with Oglethorpe and her ability to provide supplies to the early settlers. So to see how much she helped those colonists when they didn't have much.
Really?
You know? Well, she didn't stay single for very long. She soon married a guy named Jacob Matthews. Well, the marriage to Mary completely changed this guy. He had another side to him. He was quarrelsome. He was given to drink. Not a very good guy.
Well, they were dealing in rum. What do you expect?
Well, I guess he sampled too much of the goods.
Okay.
Well, anyway, Mary's influence in the colony continued during her 5-year marriage to Jacob Matthews. Oglethorpe asked Mary to start a second trading post on the south side of the Altamaha River to help protect Georgia against Spanish invasion. So what Mary did, she would look out for suspicious Spanish movements and try to warn the colonists if the Spanish looked like they were heading up the river to maybe attack.
I see.
So anyway, she aided in concluding treaties and in securing Creek warriors to fight with the British against Spain in the War of Jenkins' Ear. That was 1739 through 44. Mary influenced the Indians to side with Oglethorpe and she even sent her own workers that worked for her into battle. And Creek warriors went with Oglethorpe when he attacked the fort at St. Augustine, but they were defeated. It didn't work out really good. So here we are, 1738. A group of Creeks gave Mary title to 3 offshore Georgia islands. And I'm going to try to pronounce them, okay?
Here we go.
The island of Sapelo, Osaba, and I got this one down, St. Catherine's.
One out of 3.
Yeah. Anyway,
That'll get you in the Hall of Fame.
They also gave her a tract of land. Now, her husband, Jacob Matthews, became ill in 1742, and although Mary took him to Savannah for medical care, he died, which I can't imagine was too sad of a situation.
Yeah, but now she's 2 husbands and 2 deaths, and one might look at her a little quizzically.
Okay, well, it doesn't end there, Zeb.
Oh, my.
Okay. So, anyway, while she was gone taking care of her husband in Savannah, the Indians came in and demolished her unprotected trading post. They took away her cattle, and they raided the trading post, so she came back to really nothing. But she continued to barter with traders. She sold colonists meat, bread, and other foods that were sorely needed in those early years before the colonists began to produce their own things for themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of the colonists, get this, never paid their bills, so she basically gave away a lot of her produce. So now we're 1743. She's 43 years old. Oglethorpe left Savannah, giving Mary a going-away present, one of his own diamond rings. And he promised her 100 pounds a year to continue as interpreter. Well, Mary didn't remain widowed for very long. She married an Englishman named Thomas Bosworth in 1744. Bosworth. Don't forget that name.
I'm not.
Thomas.
Okay.
Well, Thomas Bosworth worked as a clerk. He was later appointed as Secretary of Indian Affairs, and he was a good guy. I think he was okay. So now Oglethorpe is gone. Mary continued to help the colony during the War of the Austrian Succession. She worked successfully to convince the Creeks not to respond to the French appeal for help. During the Creek-Cherokee War in 1747, she persuaded the Creeks to remain loyal to the English. Now, after Oglethorpe left, the relationships between Mary and the colonists kind of turned bad. Things were not looking good. First, the colonists no longer treated Mary with her former respect, and she kind of felt insulted. Mary also felt angry about the lack of payment for the goods and services she'd provided.
Well,
she never got paid. So, but she had continued to interpret for the leaders with no payment. And when she asked for payment, that's when things kind of broke down between their relationship. It got a little bit strained. So a major conflict occurred when Mary and Thomas, her husband, Bosworth, attempted to lay claim to the property that Mary had received earlier from the Creeks. You know, the 3 islands and the other ground.
Right.
So Georgia leaders denied Mary's claim to ownership of those 3 islands. Now Thomas, her husband, he was not going to just sit back. Influenced by his wife, that she'd been wronged by the colonists. So in the history of Georgia, there's a guy by the name of Stevens, and here's what he wrote about her. He says, quote, "Hitherto the career of Mary had been one of generous self-denial and of unmerited labors for the good of the colony. She had not indeed received the full reward of her services, but she rested in security on the faith of the government, and was until her marriage with Bosworth quiet in her conduct and moderate in her demands." So she was kind of an easygoing lady.
Absolutely.
Up until now.
Uh-oh.
So up until 1743, Mary had received only about $1,000. So after all those years, maybe 3 years' worth of pay.
Holy smokes.
So she did have a justifiable claim, and however, it came about, Mary's attitude toward the colony kind of shifted, and Bosworth, he stirred up the colony with his attempts to get compensation for her property and what she'd done. Well, the Creeks supported Mary in her claims and threatened to block any further colonial settlement in the areas under the Creek Colonial Treaty of 1739. Well, her husband took documentation to England, hoping the king would recognize Mary's ownership of those islands. Well, feeling that her cause could be pursued more favorably in person, Mary and Thomas sold some of their property to raise cash, and they actually traveled over to England. Now, 1754. So now she's 54 years old. They made their trip to England. To their disappointment, the Board of Trade rendered a decision in 1759 that disallowed their claims. When they returned to Georgia, Mary accepted a compromise in 1760, and it was kind of a compromise. Both parties were somewhat satisfied,
I see.
but not totally.
No.
So the Colony Council and Governor resolved the issue by giving Mary title to one of the islands, St. Catherine's Island. And they actually paid her for the sale of the 2 other islands. So she now had an island and was paid for the other 2. So when she acquired St. Catherine's, plus her earlier properties, actually she was the largest landowner in Georgia.
Really?
Largest landowner. So they were well off. They had enough money to build a grand home on St. Catherine's Island, and that's where they lived until Mary's death in 1765. So, that's kind of unusual, too, to live to be 65 years old.
Yeah.
But Mary was a remarkable woman. She exercised extraordinary influence not only in Creek-Georgia relations, but also as an emissary of South Carolina. Few women in her time approached her level of importance. So Mary, Musgrove, Matthews, Bosworth rose to become an outstanding leader. And here's what they said in one of the newspaper things, quote, "She was a woman without equal in the Carolina-Georgia frontier and who contributed profoundly not only to the success of the colony of Georgia, but to the success of the Carolina ventures as well." So, some consider her one of the most important figures in Georgia's colonial history and an outstanding woman, and she undoubtedly provided a great deal of help to Oglethorpe during the development of Georgia. And things would have gone a lot different if she hadn't been there to kind of ease tensions between the Indians and the new colonists. So when we say she was kind of the Pocahontas of Georgia, that kind of makes sense now, doesn't it?
And she died at 65.
65, in 1765, yeah.
1765.
Yeah,
and
so-
if she would have been alive another 11 years, that would have been interesting. Through the
right.
Revolutionary War.
Exactly, yeah. And makes you wonder how she would have fit into that. Because she was somewhat loyal to the English, but that was kind of spoiled a little bit, too.
Yeah.
So I kind of think she would have sided with her Indian tribe.
Interesting. And, really, you would have thought that her Indian tribe would have been basically her collection agency.
Yeah. I mean...
Seriously.
Yeah. Because she was not treated well.
Yeah.
But like I said, she was kind of in between both cultures, being Native American and white.
Because she could have showed up with about 10 or 20 braves and said, "What do you mean you don't have the money?"
What have you got?
Yeah, really.
I'll take some of those cows out in your corral.
There you go. Good story. Good story.
That was good. I'm going to try to find another good story for next week about some of the, to me, famous people that are not famous and not well known.
Okay.
Because I'm going to bet very few people have heard about Louise that I talked about last year.
Right.
And Mary Musgrove. Probably those down in Georgia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess probably have heard about her, but it makes you wonder all the people that have been lost to history, that their stories need to be told.
Absolutely. And you are the man to do it.
I am the man.
Thank you. Hey, by the way, you know where Save on Shells is, right there at 1827 Overland in Burley. Well, Anthony's got just the camper shell for your pickup. Absolutely. He's got over 90 of them in stock right now. And if by chance they don't have a paint job that's going to match the paint of your pickup, you can order one. And he's got the great ARE camper shells. Oh, my. I know they're great because I own one. Absolutely. You stop in and see Anthony today. Give him a call first, 312-1525. Save on Shells, 1827 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see my friend this afternoon. Thank you, Dr. History. I've got to run, but thank you very much, and blessings to your wife. Hope all goes well for your anniversary. Take her someplace nice.
Okay, all right, I will.
All right,
wherever
thank you.
she wants to go.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with the Idaho Legislative legislative update in just a few moments.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Well, we're not going to waste any time because we're short on time going into the Idaho legislative update, and it's brought to you by Handy Truck Lines at 400 West, 100 South of Paul. Number to call, 438-5071. Handy Truck Lines, providing trucking services throughout the western United States, and their hauling services include flatbed trucking, bulk pneumatic trucking, liquid tank trucking, and van delivery. One of the best, one of the very best, providing transportation services to Idaho and the surrounding states, Handy Truck Lines. And right now, let's go to the phone line and have with us Representative Fred Wood. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you? I'm doing great.
It's good to have you on the program, and I know we're in the, hopefully, waning stages of the legislative session for this year. So bring me up to speed. What's still on the table and what's got to be settled, and what are you most proud of as far as achievements at this legislative session?
Well, we'll save the achievements till last because they've been few and far between from my perspective. There's still quite a little bit to do with respect to what some people want to accomplish. All of the bills associated with trying to wrestle with the governor and the governor's power, etc., none of those have advanced beyond the House or the Senate. The Senate has had a couple bills sent over to the House. They've not advanced in the House, and vice versa. So that, at this point in time, is still a draw. With respect to taxes, there are two tax bills out, and by Constitution, revenue-raising measures have to start in the House of Representatives. So we now have a transportation tax or increased funding proposal for transportation, and we also have a tax relief measure for income tax that is started in the House. They've come out of committee. Neither one have actually come to the floor yet or made it to the floor, so we haven't voted on those yet, but I anticipate that they should be voted on sometime towards the end of this week or the first of next week. The property tax bill is still a work in progress and is still in the Senate at this point in time. Not sure what the fate of that is going to be. A lot of what we are kind of planning on is the following, Zeb. The American Rescue Plan Act, currently the acronym is ARPA, A-R-P-A, and you'll hear an awful lot of that over the next couple of years. Idaho is going to get a total of about $1.89 billion of federal money coming into the state to be spent sometime in the next 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. And part of that is going to come to the state, and part of that is going to go to local governments, specifically counties and 9 cities, directly from the federal government and will not pass through the state. And then there is a portion of money that is going to go to the other 190 towns and smaller cities that actually does go through the state and then go to those other cities. The real issue with that is we don't know when the guidelines are going to be complete. We have some idea of what they are, but we're here that we've heard that they're going to change perhaps significantly over the next couple of months. So the current idea is that we will try and finish up all of the business of this particular session between March the 26th and April the 2nd, no later than April the 2nd, and then adjourn but not adjourn sine die for a period of a couple of months or so. And then once all of the guidelines are established about how we're going to spend this money, and particularly the timelines, we'll come back and spend whatever has to be spent with respect to a short timeline, and some of it does have a short timeline, although an awful lot of it has a timeline up to 2024. And the current thinking is, by most people, myself included, is that for all of that money that has a timeline in past December of 2021, that we should deal with that next legislative session and not try to deal with that in the interim.
Fred, we have
the chairman's meeting this morning that I attended. We have one every Tuesday morning. That was kind of what the current thinking is.
Right.
But, Zeb, that could be subject to change by noon today.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a comment or a question for you, Fred.
Right now.
Okay. We have a caller with a question or a comment. We'll put them on quickly and then continue. Go ahead, caller, please.
Yeah, Scott.
No, wait a minute, caller.
Money in this country, like, it don't matter. I mean, you know as well as I do. This, the value of our money is dropping. And the insanity of these Democrats who have just, $1.9 trillion, a whole bunch of it's going, I know this is not on the subject, but it is, because Idaho has taken their share of money too. I mean, I don't know. I think we would have been better off if we would have done what South Dakota governor did and then just try to wean ourselves from this. And then the insanity of all this is got to end. I mean, we act like there's no end to this. $1 trillion, people don't even seem to know what the hell $1 trillion is. It's immense. We can't live like this. And the state of Idaho seems to be as irresponsible in some respects as the federal government. I'll hang up.
First of all, Randy, this is Representative Fred Wood on the line with me. And Fred, please respond to that call.
Well, if he wants to argue that it's insanity, he'll have to go talk to somebody else, because I agree. Because let me just mention a couple of things here. This is a total of $1.9 trillion. Now, this is just the first one.
Yeah.
The next one, which is the infrastructure bill coming up that they're going to do by reconciliation, is $3.35 trillion. The amount of inflation that they're building into the system in a short period of time is incredible. I heard on the radio, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Zeb, but I believe Idaho's current unemployment rate is below 4%.
That's right.
It's 3-point-something percent, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Is that not right?
3.6 is I think it's 3.6, the number that was given to me.
Right. Okay, so we're basically functionally at pretty close to full employment capacity. And then you're going to pour that many more billions of dollars into Idaho's economy? I don't know how you not come up with inflation.
Right.
The real bad problem with this ARPA Act is that let's presume some state like Idaho, who has always balanced our budget, we've been very conservative, we have money in the bank, no thanks to the federal government, etc. So we got plenty of money. We don't need any new federal money. If for every dollar that we don't take, that money does not go back to the federal treasury. You don't have an option. They'll send it to Idaho, and if Idaho doesn't accept it, they'll just send it on to California, Washington, or Oregon. Every single bit of that $1.9 trillion is going to be given to some state. So we had a big discussion about that this morning, and the discussion centered around, we're mortgaging the future of our grandchildren. So what we better do for the state of Idaho is, if we're in effect forced to accept it or give it to California, who will happily take it and have our grandchildren pay for it, then what we'd better do is we'd better be very careful how we do this. And interestingly enough, the governor has issued some guidelines, and the legislature kind of agrees with it. And I'll just briefly run through these real quick. There's 5 points. And that is, the funds are to be the funds are mortgaged from our grandchildren. So to the extent allowable under law, we should make long-range investments that will benefit the grandchildren. And these are one-time money, Zeb. So you can't go and spend them for ongoing expenses. You can't create ongoing obligations. You can't shift it away from other things and start new programs where we're going to have to grow our way out of it. These funds should never impede or inhibit the state's constitutional mandate to provide a long-term, structurally balanced budget for the people of Idaho. We shouldn't be duplicating other federal programs by starting state programs or anything like that. And local governments that are going to receive this money, they should understand that they should use this money first and not use state money first. Mm-hmm. Expend these and save the state money to put into budgets in the future. So the whole discussion this morning was, how can we take this money and use it one time to improve the state of Idaho without growing our state budget and supplementing the state budget, taking the general funds and saving that for a prolonged period of time over a 10 or 15-year horizon.
Right.
But the caller is right, Zeb. I mean, the amount of money is just insanity. I mean, it's just crazy.
Let me throw something into the fray here real quick, Fred, and you're the expert and I'm not, but I want to put it in my own phraseology. The Biden administration wants to have a huge, possibly $4 trillion infrastructure bill. That's fine. I know we need road repair. I know we need bridge repair, et cetera, et cetera. But at a time when the American public and business in general is barely able to see anything but red ink on their books, and at a time when fuel costs are going through the roof, it's already in 2 months, diesel has gone up $1.20 a gallon, gas almost 75 to 80 cents. How in the world can you push an infrastructure program with the high escalating fuel costs? Nobody's going to be on the damn roads after they fix them.
Well, and not only that, but you know where the Northwest infrastructure project is going, don't you?
I believe so, yes.
The 33.5 trillion. I mean, the 33.5 billion. That's going to breach the dams.
Not on this program. I'm going to fight it till I can't say another breath.
I figured that'd get Zeb's hair on fire.
You know, really, come on. What happened to common sense? What happened to common sense, Fred?
Infrastructure bill.
Yeah. But here a trillion, there a trillion, everywhere a trillion. This administration in 2 months has made a mockery out of understanding what trillions and billions, et cetera, are, and the American taxpayer is on the hook for it.
Zeb, I agree. I mean, it's simple as that.
We've got a caller with a comment. Go ahead, caller, please. Quickly, you're on the air.
I just wanted to ask Representative Wood, how much control does the government, the federal government, have over what Idaho's going to do with that money? Are they really mandating, directing, and things to be spent in specific areas, or could Idaho take that money and, as crazy as it sounds, buy a bunch of gold, set it aside, and when inflation hits, we'll be all the better for it because we'll have saved that money? Thank you. I'll listen off the air.
You know, now that's a very good question, Fred, because honestly, are they going to supervise or stand over your shoulder to see how the checks are written and to whom?
First of all, about slightly less than $600 million is going directly to the counties and is going directly to 9 of the largest cities in Idaho. And another portion, so that money, the state of Idaho doesn't have anything to do with. We don't have any say in that at all. It doesn't come through the state government. It's not appropriated by the state government. Now, how much or what guidelines specifically will be on that money or with that money that the counties and the cities get to use, I don't know. There's a significant amount of money that, and this is what we don't know about the guidelines at this point in time. We have been led to believe that, for instance, there is a significant amount of money here that can be used for water projects, and there's very, very little guidelines and whatnot that you need for the water projects. So we will be able to use those water projects, or that money for the water projects, probably in a fairly wide array of use in Idaho. We're not sure there's a significant amount of money for sewer projects. In Idaho, not sure how that's going to play out because we have sewer districts. So a lot of that is with respect to cities. Cities actually manage that and control that. There's not much guidelines published yet, Zeb, about the amount of control of the federal government or the amount of strings that are going to be attached to that money. We will know a whole lot more in 60 days to 90 days, and that's why the legislature is contemplating adjourning or recessing for a while without adjourning sine die, so that if necessary we can come back in June or whenever and either create buckets for that money to go into so we can keep it in interest-bearing accounts, etc. We don't know actually how much of it is going to come in the form of cash versus how much of it is going to come in just authorization to do the work, and then after the work is completed, you collect the check from the federal government to pay for the work. So there's an awful lot yet to be known about that. But that's an excellent question.
Fred, we
just simply don't know a lot.
I'm completely out of time for this segment, but I'm going to ask you a favor. I'm going to be in touch with you over the next day or so and try to reestablish another time away from this program. I need to have you back and answer some other questions. Would you be amenable to that? Because I just flat ran out of time.
Happy to do so, Zeb. Happy to do so.
I appreciate it. Representative Fred Wood.
Give me a call and we'll set a time whenever it's convenient for you.
I appreciate that very much. Representative Fred Wood on our Idaho Legislative Update, and I do, and I know the audience does too, have more questions that need to be answered. This program, of course, we really appreciate Clay Handy and the folks over at Handy Truck Lines. Very efficient, safe, and dependable service provider that has grown throughout the generations to serve you and the Northwest. Thank you very much. Handy Truck Lines, 400 West, 100 South of Paul, 438-5071. Handy Truck Lines bringing you the Idaho Legislative Update. Right now, we've got to get some things taken care of quickly before we run completely out of time. And want to mention Edith's Cafe. Oh, my goodness, 144 East Highway 81, right across from the golf course in Burley. I mean, good food. And I'm telling you, whether you're stopping in for a sandwich or a steak, you're going to love it, and the people are so friendly. And when you're all finished, be sure and have some of that peach cobbler. Oh, knock your boots off. Absolutely delicious. Don't forget, they're going to have a special next week during the St. Patrick's Day corned beef special. I'll be telling you more about that at Edith's Cafe, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Number to call, 878-2248. Right now, it's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. And you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and find out all about the delicious meats available to you. All the different flavors of bacon, and the sausages, and the tri-tips, the hams, and, of course, the bratwurst. The list goes on and on. Delicious meats from Scarrows Meats over in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
We're going to continue on this warming trend as we make our way through the rest of the work week. And here is a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies today. High of 55 tonight, mostly clear, low of 29. Tomorrow, a little bit of a breeze, sunny skies, high of 61 with an overnight low of 34. By Thursday, mostly sunny. Close to 70. 68 is going to be the actual high. Then by Friday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers, mostly in the afternoon, partly sunny, and 61. That's a look at your weather for Zebit the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. That number again, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. We're out of time. Boy, are we out of time. I wish we could have stayed on the line longer with Fred Wood and asked more questions and taken more of your calls. I apologize for that. But the clock on the wall dictates what we do and what we don't do. And I want to mention to you before I leave, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations involved in a big spring tire sale going on right now. Save money, drive carefully, drive safely with the best in tires. All the different tread designs, all the sizes for all vehicles at all 7 locations. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. They want you to drive safely. They absolutely care about you. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. We're going to wrap it up with the Bible verse, short and sweet today, Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Remember that. The way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to us, in God we trust. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch. Have a great day.